Viperhoods, Leafsuits. That's what this video is going over today. As you can see, I'm wearing a Lapa Gear leaf suit. We're out in the middle of the best foliage available for this right now. Viperhoods and leaf suits, I'm not going to go into the rigmarole of, where they come from or, how they started. There's a lot of good videos out there for that. Today I'm just going to talk about the use case for them in Ukraine and how a lot of people in the States are starting to adopt them. The Viperhoods of today are mainly made out of lightweight materials. I would argue that they are a lot better than overall big-sized ghillies. They're not super over-encumbersome. This one practically weighs nothing. They come in a few different variations. Obviously, they come in, Viperhoods, which is this, it just covers the shoulders and the little bit of the back. And then you got full leaf suits, which people normally wear under their armor. And, they have different seasonal camouflage patterns. This one is multi-camotropic, but obviously there are some for, more dead seasons like fall and winter. They even have snow variants, which, I would really like to get my hands on one of those. It doesn't snow very often down here in the South, but when it does, it really snows. So, yeah. Their case usage in Ukraine has, in my opinion, has been pretty paramount, and I think it's applicable to civilians today. A lot of the time, it's used by Russian SOF guys and Ukrainian SOF guys, and a lot of drone operators too. Here at Balefire, our last event, the drone operator himself didn't actually use a Viperhood, but the drone assistant used an identical Viperhood to this. And, I can imagine that that would be very useful for a drone operator in trying to hide in all this dense vegetation without being, spotted. Speaking of drones, drone operations and drone warfare has changed the way that the battlefield is run, especially when it comes to concealment. I won't say that gone are the days of straight BDUs and, things like that, because obviously in Ukraine they still use that. But I would say that Viperhoods and leaf suits very, very well to do usage, especially whenever your enemy is surveilling you over the sky. Obviously, with a thermal drone, that's kind of, you're going to be seen either way. But these have been used to great effectiveness. I know a lot of people in the States use them. A lot of my guys use them. Personal testimony, at Balefire, at this AO, a lot of the time, there were two guys on Op4 who had leaf suits, and I actually bought that exact leaf suit off of him, and this is the one that I'm using now. They couldn't be spotted until they actually started moving, and even then, when they were moving, their outline was broken up enough to where it was very, it was very hard to distinguish what you were looking at. Key takeaways from this is that, Viperhoods are not a magical tool that will, keep you away from utter destruction in, the face of the battlefield. It is just like everything, a very useful tool, especially when it comes to concealment, because as stated before, a full-on ghillie is very cumbersome and, it's hard to use even whenever you're using a full leaf suit. A lot of the time, Ukrainians and Russians, they won't use the bottoms because when you put the bottoms on, they're like overalls. They go over your actual combat pants. And so you don't have access to any of your stuff, especially if you're cross-rigging your gear and using your pockets. And even then, it's also a bit of a problem with a full leaf suit when it comes to getting to anything that's in your actual gear or below your plate carrier or anything like that. And to give another visual example of a leaf suit, I'm gonna have my friend come out and show you his. The leaf suit that he's wearing is a commercial leaf suit that is very common in all sorts of hunting stores and such. What brand is yours?
I believe mine's a Game Winner. It's the kind of leaf suit you'd see really at Bass Pro or Cabela's, anything like that. They've been around for forever. I've had this one for about 10 years. They do the job well enough. Obviously, they're not going to be near compliant or anything like that. But for something in a bind, they'll work quite well. Or if you don't have the budget, for a nicer one like his.
Yeah, exactly. I really don't know the MSRP of these because a lot of their stuff in their website is in Ukrainian currency. But from what I've seen, like I bought this one for $100, but that was for a buddy. Like that was from a buddy, so you know he gave it to me for a buddy price. I've heard that these can go for 150 to 250 bucks, I think, depending on which one it is and what variation. Um, you know, and they also come in different color patterns, as obvious. He's kind of got a like weird, I don't even know, like we've used his leaf suit during wintertime training and like fall training, whenever everything around us is dead, and he blends in great just with this one. And we used it during a small training FTX, and he blended in quite well. He you know, as you can see, he came out of the brush and you know he was well hidden. But obviously, there's different seasons, and I'm a big proponent of seasonal changing when it comes to your camouflage. Like I'm going to use this one for the summertime and the spring. Eventually I hope to get like a either a Lappa gear or some other brand Viper hood that matches like autumn and like fall colors. And you know, I know it's a little overkill, especially in the South where it doesn't snow like often at all, maybe once or twice a year. But those snow Lappa gears, those are really cool, and I'd love to have one for an overwhite sect. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about leaf suits in your opinion?
Well, I think they're a really good option for just a cheap and easy way to camouflage yourself a lot better than fatigues would. They help break out the outline of a person quite well. And that is very crucial, especially for the rise of patterns like multicam and such. I mean, that and slimming down uniforms like combat uniforms and such like that, you really have a very easy to spot outline of a person. Like scrims, leaf suits, and viper hoods are very good at breaking out the outline of of a person. Um, Really, I think it is just a very nice and easy way to give yourself a better camouflaging tool compared to a full leaf suit, cape, or a ghillie suit. These are a lot more breathable, a lot lighter, and they're a lot more slim. This only comes out about this much. A ghillie suit would get caught on everything.
Yeah, and even then, we've had personal experience from other people that have worn the full leaf suit systems, and they've been caught up and gotten snagged on things. And these themselves, they get snagged a lot because in the southern Ozark region, you know, unlike up north where there's not a lot of low brush, from what I've can see from other guys on YouTube, especially in the summertime, it is a jungle out here. There's a lot of low brush. There's a lot of really thick trees, really close together foliage, you know, and it does get caught sometimes. We did a react to contact drill, and we were both getting caught on stuff. Contact front! Contact front! Moving! Set! Moving! obviously you just have to like push through it at that point, you know, within reason. You don't want to get like your helmet caught on something and rip it and like rip your neck or your helmet off, you know what I mean? But overall, I would say leaf suits, they are a very good camouflage, you know, addition to your kit. I really believe that prepared civilians in a woodland, you know, aspect of, you know, warfighting, I believe that these are really good for what we can do because, you know, we don't need, we don't have the logistics, we don't have the manpower that larger forces do, and we need every advantage that we can get. And from personal testimony from Balefire, a lot of the guys that were wearing this Lappa gear specifically, there's two guys that had a Lappa gear Viperhood. They were hidden very well until you saw them. And I hate to say it, but by the time you saw them, it was too late. And that is the type of force multiplier we need as civilians because, you know, it's like 3-to-1, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 most of the time. And, you know, that's not even counting drones, thermals, thermal drones, you know, night vision, things like that. And with the advent of more and more force multipliers coming in, I think that we need to update our tactics and we need to keep moving forward. There are things that we can adopt, obviously, but, you know, people get mad at me and a few other guys for, you know, taking a lot from Ukraine. Ukraine is really the only actual conflict we're seeing right now that is an actual honest to God conflict, right? And the motive for what we do here, I don't think is to, you know, fight a conventional war. That war is not conventional at all. Would you say that that war is conventional?
I'd say it's a completely new type of warfare.
Exactly. Like that's the like everything that we're seeing out of Ukraine, I believe is what is going to keep continuing, especially now that the US military, different militaries across the world are observing what is going on in Ukraine and they're, you know, adapting, they're trying to learn, they're trying to move forward with it. And I don't think that we as civilians should, you know, let that fall to the wayside. I think that we should adopt these things. I think we should, you know, try to adapt ourselves to the, you know, current, you know, conflicts that are coming out, especially in drones. You know, this isn't a drone video, but these go hand in hand with drones, in my opinion, because you've got the drone operator and the drone. Obviously, you can't use one without the other. And the drone operator is a flesh person that can die if you shoot them. And being able to conceal yourself the best you can while being able to use that force multiplier is paramount in many situations. So, yeah. You got anything else to say?
Not really. No.
Yeah. Well, we're going to show a little bit of footage of us using this, and then, you know, we'll call it good. Thanks for watching, guys.